everybody. Yes, we're back. We're actually back because we forgot to talk about the wonderful finger of God. So this is our Yod-dendum.
Yes, yes, we had to leap on to make a Yod-dendum because we realized that the Yod was super important and that we hadn't talked about it in our last video. So
Here we
here we
are.
go.
So again, Julie Sherwood, Your Best Helps Wellness Coaching, and my lovely co-host.
Maria Schumacher, Venus-13.com.
All right, so we're going to get right into it because we want to keep this short and sweet. This is a addendum onto the full moon podcast that we did for Holistic Health Happy Hour, episode 4. So we'll call this episode 4A, and we'll get that posted out onto radicalastrology.com, our Radical Astrology Facebook page, and then our socials. So take it away, my friend. This lady is the queen of patterns. So I am going to defer to her in terms of talking to you about the geometry here.
I do. I see patterns in a chart. That's actually what sort of got me started doing a daily, is because just the patterns that show up seemed to be so relevant and just frankly so cool. I mean, these alignments make the most beautiful patterns when you view it. When you view the heavens in a wheel like this, they make the most beautiful patterns for you, and it always has something to say. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
like
I
a
mean,
yod.
really, I kind of have an idea, but you're kind of the queen of the yod.
So what's a yod? Yod is called the finger of God. Why is that? Well, first of all, what makes it a yod? And what we're looking at here, before I get into that, is the chart for, just after the full moon on Monday, right? The moon goes full at 1 a.m., 1:30 a.m. Eastern time. And this chart is for the same day, 22 hours later. That is when the moon conjoins her own south node. And this is where I think the real magic happens. The real magic of the day happens.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually just after the full moon, but it's set up already because the yod I'm going to talk about, which is this right?
The green to the blue. So look for that.
Yep, the green to the blue is in the chart already. So let me make this a little bigger. Is that better?
Yep.
Yeah.
Looks good.
Okay. So boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, there's a lot of lines there, but just again, look for the two green pointing toward the upper right, toward the moon. I mean, upper left, and then the blue from 6 to 4, and you can kind of see those numbers easily.
Yep, from 6 to 4. Yep. So that's Venus, sextile, Jupiter, both of them quincunx, right? 150-degree aspect, 150-degree angle to the moon and south node. Now, this entire yod is conjunctions, all of it. I've got a conjunction at the focal point. I've got a conjunction at the corners, and I have a conjunction at the opposition, north node and Chiron. Somebody all conjunct somebody else. So it's not just moon, Venus, and Jupiter. It's not just south node, Saturn, and Dave. It's not just north node or Chiron. It's a party. But the main yod, the main two quincunxes and a sextile are happening in the chart already right now between Venus, Jupiter, and the south node, right? Opposite the north node. In addition, I'm going to draw this in as we're looking at it. Jupiter and Venus are both semi-sextile to the north node. So they're both in contact with the south node and moon by quincunx and with the north node by semi-sextile. That makes this a reflexive pattern, right? So usually in a yod, you get these two in a sextile pointing at a third body, and the focus of the energy is all at that third body.
Yeah, it's just a triangle with that longer point
Bingo.
is the focal
Yeah,
point.
yeah. The energy of two planets coming together, pointing at a third and saying, you pay attention to this guy. In
Hence
this
the finger
case,
of God.
hence the finger of God.
Right.
Yes. So that makes this south node with the moon on it something that is what this energy is all about, right?
Right.
You are going to be paying attention to me. Full moons are already about the moon, and partial eclipses are already about the nodes. So we're already, so if we weren't clear that the focus of this energy is the moon in the south node, this configuration should clear that right up, because it is.
I was gonna say, it's like you got this whole party down in Pisces going, hey, look, 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 look. You know, as if we weren't looking already, right? I mean, everything in the bottom part of the chart there in Pisces, Aquarius, Aries is all pointing up to that Virgo there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like, you can't ignore it.
No, you really can't. So in addition to the normal yod, we also have two biquintile aspects from Uncle Dave and Saturn, also going up to the moon and south node. So, I mean, again, as if there weren't enough energy saying it's all about the moon and south node in Virgo, we get these guys as well.
Yep.
The reflexive part of it is that energy also determines movement that happens with regard to the Chiron and North Node conjunction across from Pisces. This is where I want our Julie to talk about why the Virgo and Pisces element of this is so important.
Well, and I've mentioned this before because I think the Virgo Pisces polar axis is the most challenging polarity to reconcile. And, you know, in the words of Mark Jones, under whom I studied the lunar nodes, you have to look at the Virgoan self-improvement, earthbound energy, surrender to the cosmic energy of Pisces, and the ultimate alchemy is healing. And, you know, if we don't reconcile this polarity as a collective, because these lunar nodes is a collective energy, how do we get to that healing? And good Lord, Chiron there is banging down the door, the wounded healer, saying, this is the time. You've got the opportunity now.
Yeah,
and
there's a collective wound here that has both kept us from moving forward and is our invitation to move forward.
Right. And my dear friend here had a beautiful epiphany today about that collective wound. So take it away. It has to do with divine programming, if you will, for lack of a better term.
It really does. And it, again, because we've got moon and we've got Virgo. And I almost wish that this constellation was not called Virgo, because I get super triggered by the concept of virgin, right? But at any rate, this is the sign of the goddess. This is the sign of the goddess, the mother goddess, the great goddess. You could even say, you know, the feminine generative principle, if you will. Mm-hmm. And so here we go. And we've got the moon there, to which the divine feminine is inextricably connected, right? And I probably don't have to go into all the ways that woman and moon line up, right?
Right.
We all get it. If we're in a woman body, we get it. South node there encourages us to re-examine that origin story. Mm-hmm. Virgo is also known for learning. It's school. It's like also the sign of the earth school, right? That you're in here to learn these lessons. And with everything pointing that way, the signal seems to be re-examine this origin story, re-examine this whole Adam, Eve, Lilith thing. Was Adam really the first man? I don't think so. Was Eve really the first woman? Of all women ever to be on the planet? And I don't think so. Question that.
Mhm.
Is our origin, is who we are from Genesis different from what we've been told?
Well, and Virgo stars are also the stars of discernment, right? Separate the wheat from the chaff.
Yes. Yes.
Take all of this data, information, and learning and put it in your hand and go, yep, nope, and decide what actually works for you, right?
Mhm.
And we were talking about the fact that part of this communication with this finger of God is pointing back, as my friend affectionately calls Jupiter, Poppy.
Big Poppy.
But
Yeah.
Big Poppy, right. And that is the energy of expanding into what is truth with the capital T? What is your belief system? What is your relationship with spirituality in any sense of the word?
And simple truth. It's in Aries.
Yes,
Simple truth
yep,
of something. Yep.
yeah,
Because Aries, Aries really has a talent for getting to the simple heart of things. Just keep it simple, right?
right.
Yes, no, truth, false, big, small, want, don't want.
Right, right. And a little disclaimer, to each his own, whatever you believe and want to explore or examine. I think part of the key here is we don't say it is the truth, the only truth, and nothing but our truth. This is a question, an invitation to examine your personal relationship with the question,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Especially with Aries. What do you as the individual see in this exploration? Because if we don't go to that point, as the South Node has ingrained in us before, and come forward to an understanding of what the North Node is pulling us to in this collective humanity, we won't get to that surrender to the cosmos.
Mm-hmm.
This is our chance. This is why this is such an auspicious time in humanity. I mean, at least in my perspective.
Yeah, yeah. And those two little semi-sextiles from Venus and Big Poppy over to the North Node there are very much signaling that. Like, look, we've opened a door here for you. We've opened a door for you to walk through. Look back at that South Node, re-examine that origin story, especially as applies to women,
Well, and Venus
especially as applies to the divine feminine.
And Venus just had a conversation with Saturn not too long ago. She was the one that was banging on his door saying, hey, you think you're the authority and the rule maker in all of this for the collective humanity, Aquarius? I'm going to tell you, yeah, not so much. I
Mm-hmm.
want you to really take a minute and step back and take a look at this, because now I'm going to start moving into the stars of Pisces, and I'm going to go have a conversation with all those beautiful energies in Pisces now too. So I'm going to keep talking to y'all about it. So
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
it's
And
a time.
and Venus lightens up Saturn. She kind
Yes,
of gets him to see, okay, you know what? Maybe I don't have to make my prison bars out of iron. Maybe I am making a prison when all I need to do is make a support structure.
right, right.
Maybe I can lighten my act up a little bit. And she does get him to do that. And so that's what she's just done. So now she's teaming up with Jupiter, and those two together, just in any aspect, are just fun, right? But in this case, we've got connected by a sextile and then two semi-sextiles to the North Node that just invite us to re-examine who we are on an origin story level, re-examine everything that we have been told about who we are, and heal it.
Yeah.
And yeah, and freaking heal it, says Chiron.
Well, in the Pisces stars too with Chiron is to have that compassionate understanding for all of it, right?
Yes.
Compassion with passion. And passion it from the heart. It's not, the roll in the hay kind of passion. It's more the passion for humanity, the passion for the I am all that is, and the fact that we are all from
Mhm.
the one, if you will.
Yeah.
And it's time to really, and in such a world of, and I don't want to get into all the crazy of it because there's already enough out there, this world of divisiveness, right? This is the time where we have to really come to the point of compassion. Where can I bridge the divide? Where can I come together with my fellow man and woman in our collective humanity, or we will never heal this?
And again, it's important that it's Venus
Yes.
and Jupiter in this, right?
Perfect.
Not Venus and the moon, not just all of it, because, or even not Venus and Lilith, even though Lilith is important here, but it's it's a reintegrating of that feminine and masculine. I mean, and so we harp a lot about the divine feminine. We harp a lot about the rising woman and all of that. And yes, there are ceilings to shatter, but not for the purpose of setting woman higher.
Right. Right.
It's just for the purpose of setting actually equal.
And it's the divine feminine energy too, right? It's that nurturing energy, that receptive energy, that energy again of surrender, in the receptive sense, not in a, walk all over me kind of
Not
sense.
in a passive sense. And
No,
and so and I think that is where we get
active
that wrong. I
surrender.
think that, yeah, it's also important not to dump too many passive qualities on the divine feminine, because
Right.
the divine feminine is also fierce
Oh yeah.
and determined and
Yeah, piss off a
and
mother lion with cubs, go for it.
right? Yeah, exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
it's,
So,
yeah, I think, God, there was something else I was gonna say and now it just escaped me, but I'm sure it'll come back at some point.
well,
But
it's just that, look, along the way, along this self node arc of history, the male was allowed to develop fully,
mhm,
right? The male was allowed to develop, and the female was boxed. The female was like, no, you could only develop along these lines.
mhm.
And I think whatever set that up didn't realize that it also injured the male,
Sure,
right? There's a part of the masculine that is missing that co-equal divine feminine and can't express that in any other way but to try and dominate it and own it, because
right,
it misses it. You
right.
know?
Well, and the
Um,
masculine energy is assertion, right? It's
yes.
taking action to figure it all out.
And so that's where we can have compassion for the male, for the masculine, because they miss their mommy too.
Right.
They also miss that co-equal divine feminine. So yeah, and again, that's why I think it's important that it's Venus and Jupiter right now instead of Venus and Mars. Do you see?
Yes, and I remembered what I was gonna say, and it has to do with the Venus Jupiter. It's again, they're benefics, and
Yeah.
Venus is also about beauty and intrinsic values. And Jupiter asks us to expand back into that. See the beauty in all this compassion. See the wonder of it all. And when we talked about the full moon, one of the things we talked about, or the modality, I guess you would say, that we talked about in terms of how to use the energies of the full moon relative to your natal moon, we were talking about sound. And what
Mhm.
came to me is with this moon being in the earthy sign of Virgo, one of the ways that the collective can work with this is shamanic drumming, like the
Mm.
heartbeat of the earth, the fetal heartbeat, and that taking us back to the origin of humanity in all that we are. It's a rhythmic pattern, and it goes again to the Venusian use of our senses. We'll feel the vibration of the drum. We'll hear the sound of the drum. We'll even see the skin of the drum bending. We'll feel it in our hands,
Mhm.
and I think that is a way to use the sound energy to really direct our attention to where that finger of God is pointing. Where do we really come from?
You know, I was listening to something today that said something to the effect of sound has the ability to shatter glass, as in glass ceiling. And the voice, and this was a very feminine, empowering message I was listening to. So men, please don't feel left out. But women coming together, bringing their voices together, bringing their sound together, can shatter any glass ceiling or break any cage that there is.
And actually as soon as you said that, I had this image of, and we've talked about like natural rhythms, natural cycles, and Saturn, I think, is asking us to look at that again as a collective humanity being in Aquarius. But the concept of the women of the village would congregate as the tribe representation while the men were off doing their hunting, in ancient times. And the voices of all the women together were the ones that held together the rhythm of the village. And so I think it's that concept of the women, the divine feminine voice coming together to bring back the rhythm, right? And we can shatter this ceiling that's holding us back as a humanity if we bring back the voice of the feminine, the voice of the beauty.
And that's just it. The whole dominant patriarchal thing that happens, that energy of hierarchies and domination and fear and war. They miss so much by clamping down on that voice.
Well, and the restrictive structures of it all.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, the 9 to 5, Monday through, well, it's not 9 to 5 anymore. It's way worse than that. But this idea that we all have to be so constrained by prescribed structures and
well, that's it. And that there are only a few voices that matter.
Right.
And yes, the voices of many coming together for a common purpose are very, very powerful.
Right.
I mean, just look at any movement that has involved social disobedience.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And that happens. And so it's all, but it's such a, it's like, you guys at the top don't get it. You're missing so much by silencing those voices and not letting yourself be a part of it.
Right.
And you can have compassion for that, because it's like, wow, you're missing it.
And the voices coming to, we're back to that, voices coming together, compassion, with passion, in that nurturing of humanity as opposed to the division of humanity. Right. So
yes. So there we have Virgo, Pisces, the revelations of the South Node reflects back to the actions taken at the North Node point. Yod-dendum, everybody.
There you have it. This is a gateway to some pretty strong stuff coming up. So, and I know a lot of people are all bugabooed about, oh, this eclipse is this eclipse is that, but it's not a fear mongering or and everything these days is breaking news, no, this is a chance for us to take some wonderful energy and do something with it in the positivity, to the compassionate understanding of each other, in a way to heal South Node, North Node, Virgo, Pisces, to heal humanity, to heal us as a one, the I am presence again.
And we participate in that. We participate in that. I mean, this is the moon. It doesn't get any more personal than the moon. It's the most personal planet.
Right.
And so, people ask all the time, and I'm sure people watching this are asking, they want to know what's going to happen. What's going to happen? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? And the answer is, what do you want to happen? What happens is what you put your energy toward and take action toward. And I think that's been the scariest thing about this whole year, is that most of us have had a sense that we're going to have to take action towards something. We're going to have to step forward. We're going to have to stand for something, or step forward for something, or risk something.
You know, and the other interesting thing is if you follow any of the numerology this year, 2024 is an 8, right? And eights, turn it on its side, it's infinity. We have to come together as an eternal collective humanity to realize what we're here to do. You know, this is the year to do that. Yes, there's change. Yes, there are things that come along that may not be super comfortable, but in the end, it's what we're supposed to do. But I go back to what you were saying too about what do we choose as the individual to do with it. That goes to the free will, right? We can do all this predictive chatter that we want, but there's the beauty of being human is the free will.
Exactly. And recognizing that my free will directs where I put my energy, and that is the driver of change. And
Right.
that when more of us come together in a common purpose, if Julie and I decide that we're going to put our energy towards something, the same thing, then it exponentially has a chance of happening, and so on and so on and so on. But what is going to happen? What do you want to happen? What do you want to happen?
Well, and it goes back to that metaphor, and I might get this wrong, so please don't put a bunch of comments butchering me. But the idea
Our
that we're
people
all
are
a drop
nice.
in the ocean, yet we're the ocean in the drop. You know, so you bring all these drops together, you become the ocean, but at the same time, you already were the ocean and you are the individual drop within it, right? And that's the symbiosis between Virgo and Pisces. So, all right, my friends, I think that is a great way to end it. So again, Julie Sherwood, Your Best Hopes Wellness Coaching.
Maria Schumacher, Venus-13.com.
All right, well, we'll see you all out in cyberspace in March 29th, Eclipse Roundtable.
The big fat Greek eclipse roundtable. It's going to be awesome.
And those of you on Radical Astrology, it'll be at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time US, 5 p.m. Pacific. There was some confusion because I'm in Arizona. We won't talk about the time zones in Arizona. But again, 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time US, 5 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time US. Y'all can do the translation work online. There's plenty of opportunity to figure out your time zone. That will be the live broadcast on Radical Astrology Facebook group. Otherwise, those of you not on the group that are watching this, maybe on alternative platforms, we'll post replay links. So there you go. Thank you, my dear friend. Thank you for this
Thank you, my
Yod-dendum.
dear friend.
All right.